We believe that the political risk is one of the reasons why the ECB will continue its purchases as we go into next year. And I know the speculation about tapering have been boosted here entering this year with the string of strong economic figures and a rise in headline inflation above 1% for the first time in more than 3 years.
But what would make the ECB to start tapering? And I guess we need to qualify what tapering actually means. To some, it is simply reducing the size. To the ECB, is for bond purchases to go towards zero. So let's go with that definition of tapering. What exactly would be the trigger for that? Because inflation is already above 1%, and that's the highest in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. The ECB has clearly said that they will continue the QE purchases until they see a sustainable adjustment in inflation. And Draghi was recently asked, what is this sustainable adjustment? And he said that it has to be durable, it has to be self-sustained, it cannot be dependent on the strong monetary policy accommodation that we have at the moment. And finally, he said it cannot be a blip in inflation. And that's probably what we are seeing at the moment, only headline inflation picking up, not the underlying prices.
Core inflation is running at 0.9%, and that is very much what the ECB has been focusing on. So we need to see that level go up to, what, 1.3, 1.4 before we see tapering? What would it be?
Yeah, so Kjør, one of the executive board members, had a comment which were published at the end of last year, where he said we are clearly waiting for signs that core inflation is picking up and is clearly exceeding 1%. And we expect that core inflation will stay around 0.9% this year, only briefly touching 1%. So that's not enough for the ECB to start this tapering this year.
You actually believe that the ECB will announce a third round of QE this year. What makes you believe that? Do you think, once again, it is down to all the political risks that we're expected to see? Do you think we'll see a downtick in European growth?
One of the arguments is this political risk, but I think it's more important that the ECB is too optimistic on core inflation. And they have been that for a long time, but they still are. They are also hopeful, we call it, in their outlook for how wage growth will develop in the coming years. Then they have a forecast which is not really close to 2% already. So if they have to lower inflation forecast again, it's going to be followed by a third extension of QE in our view.